Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys joining me for a little on the water video here. We're down at Table Rock Lake right now, and guys, I want to talk about fishing boat docks in the late winter and early spring and show you guys where the bass position at on boat docks when the water's a little bit cold. So we're going to get into that in today's video. I'm actually going to walk you guys down here on the dock and sort of point it out to y'all. Also guys, just a quick thank you out there before we get started. Everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling, really appreciate it. And again, thanks everybody for supporting the channel by using all the links we put in the video description. So, okay guys, let's get with it. I'm going to turn the camera around here and I'll show you some good places on the docks for cold weather months. Here we go. Guys, let's walk out on the dock here and I'll sort of show you what you need to look for. Now, first of all, this in most of the year, as far as other times of the year besides when the water's cold, this is my favorite area on a boat dock to fish. A little tip here besides the winter time is anytime where the walkway intersects the main part of the dock right here, this is a key area. These fish love to live like right there at the intersection of a walkway and the inside part of the dock. So just don't ever forget that. But this type of an area, guys, on the inside part of a dock, these aren't that great, you know, during the cold weather months. Man, I don't know if you can see, I can't believe there's insects out here as cold as it is right now. So don't really mess, you know, with the inside part of a dock, which is normally the best. Most of the time in dock fishing, this is a key area from the bank to the inside part. Now, the areas that you want to focus on in the wintertime on a dock are the outside, deeper parts of the dock. I can't get out on the thing here. They got some gates up where I can't get in there. But the main part that you want to focus on, guys, are the very deeper parts of the docks out there. Now, my favorite type of a dock to fish this time of year is the marina docks like this because they have deeper water. But what you want to do with this is try to concentrate on like the last 2 or 3 slips of a dock out there. That's where those fish like to live at. And depending upon the water depth, they're either going to suspend out there or they're going to be on the bottom. So one of my favorite techniques is to start out on the deeper parts out there, and I'll work a jerkbait or an Alabama rig on the corners on the outside deeper parts. Sometimes I'll take a spoon and I'll fish it vertical in the slips. And as I get a little closer in the area over here, like if the water gets a little bit shallower, I like to take a finesse jig and work that finesse jig, you know, in and around the boat slips. It's a really good place to catch them. But boat docks, just excellent areas for wintertime fishing. Now, another thing to remember is on these docks here, these marinas where you have areas in between the docks. See this open area here? This is a great area to catch them on a little swim bait or a jerk bait. One of my favorite things I like to do in a marina area is I'll get between these docks and I'll fan cast like a little 2.5-inch Kitech, you know, just fishing for suspended fish along here. Also casting a jerk bait in through there, maybe some type of a underspin. A lot of times those fish will like to suspend in the middle between those docks. And another thing is when you're fishing in the wintertime or the early spring, late winter, anytime you're in a marina like this, don't forget to hit the rocky banks close to there because fish love to winter in these marina areas. What are you doing there? Chiseling the ice. Still a little cold here in Missouri, guys. We had like 8 inches of snow last week. Elijah's down here messing in the ice a little bit. Okay guys, let's talk about a couple other considerations for fishing these docks during the late winter and early spring. A lot of it has to do with your water clarity. One of the things that you're going to find out about fishing boat docks when the water temperature is in the 40s and 50s, it's going to work a little bit better if the water's clear. I don't really like fishing this type of structure this time of year unless I have at least 3 foot of visibility, and ideally I like to have, you know, 4 or 5 foot of visibility. So you can see right here in the water really clear. This is going to make those fish a lot more active and they just bite better, especially if you have a lake that has some type of a mix of largemouth and spotted bass in it. Now, the technique wise, in terms of water clarity, it's like if you're fishing the docks on a lake that have a little bit more stain to it, like around that 3 foot zone, I have found for the most part in that type of a situation, you're going to do better on a jerk bait. And sometimes if you have a lake that has colder water and some stain, the fish will use a little bit shallower part of the dock. That's sort of a reality of it, sometimes up by the bank close to the dock. But if you got water visibilities of over 4 feet, they're going to hang out on those outside areas that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Couple different examples of that. Let me give you guys some examples. Let's say if we're down at Grand Lake in Oklahoma and we're fishing around a marina like this, and the water visibility is stained, like 2.5 foot of visibility. As long as you have water temperatures close to 50 degrees, a lot of times those fish will move up shallower around these docks along the bank areas, and you can catch them on a jerk bait. Now that's an anomaly. That's not the typical, late winter jerk bait or late winter dock fishing patterns that I'm talking about. That is something, if you have water visibilities, a little bit more off colored, because if you have off colored water, those fish will not use the outside deeper parts of these marina docks or deeper docks. They only do that if you have water visibilities that are approaching 4 feet. If you do have water visibilities that are approaching 4 feet, it allows them to use a diversity of water depths and, again, on the bottom and suspended. So another couple things I forgot to mention there. Another thing that works really good here, guys, is aside from the spoon, like in the slips, will work pretty good. Sometimes you can get out off the complete outside part of the dock, like the very end of it, and there's a lot of cables. You can see all the cables right here coming off in the water. There's also cables out on the end of those docks that anchor those docks, and they're attached a lot of times to concrete weights out there. And you can take a spoon anytime you see a cable in the water and fish that jigging spoon, or like a blade bait, like that Megabass, Dyna Response blade bait, in and around those cables off the deeper part of it can be pretty good. But a lot of it, it's like every dock and every marina is different because they're all set up with different water clarities and in different depths and different type of complexities of the dock. But overall, that's the best lure choices for them. That little finesse jig, like a little green pumpkin or brown finesse jig, spoon, jerk bait, little swim bait. And don't overlook anything, because I'm talking specifically about the docks here. But when you're talking about these docks and these marine areas out here, just be aware of the fact that they can be here at times, even though I said that's not very good in the winter time. They can be in the slips, they can be on the outside, or they can be in the areas between it right there. So you sort of have to just go through it with the process of elimination until you figure out how they're positioned on there. And a lot of times you can catch them doing a lot of different stuff. You might catch some, on a slip, on a jig inside of the dock slips. You may catch them in between. You may catch them on the bank. It just offers a diversity of options for the fish. And one reason people don't like to fish docks a lot of times like this is they're sort of complicated to fish. They're complicated to fish in terms of the fact that, a lot of times you got to fight the boat cables, fight the dock cables with your boat. A lot of times, it's hard to get in behind these areas. A lot of times you got dock owners that are griping at you for fishing around the docks. A lot of times, when you're trying to fish the slips, when you have a boat in those slips, it's a pain in the butt to try to get that jig in between the boat slips. But that's one of the reasons why bass like to live around boat docks, is there's a lot of bass that never see a lure here. I mean, one of the things you got to realize is that in the clear water situation out here on some of these docks, there's places that you can't get a lure. It's like if you've got a boat in a boat slip that's up on a lift, you can't get a bait to the walkway area there. And those fish know that, and they'll live in there. And some of these marina docks like this, they have huge populations of bass in them, but you can't catch them because of the way they're positioned. And that's sort of like the good and the bad about boat docks. You guys have heard me talking about, I don't think there should be any docks on a lake. I think it's a sort of a violation of our use of public water to have to, mess around them and have to put up with people that own docks. But at the same time, a lot of the lakes across the country that have a lot of boat docks in them, the fishing is usually pretty decent because it offers habitat for those fish that they can escape the fishing pressure and get away from it. So even though you're not going to be able to catch those fish that are on the docks a lot of times, at some point those fish still spawn, and at some point those fish still move away from those docks at certain times, especially like at night, and then it makes fishing a little bit better. One other thing, a little tidbit I'll give you guys here is boat dock areas like this are really good to fish at night. We're not talking about the winter time now, but anytime you get like from April on, you know, getting back in behind these docks with a jig or a big black spinner bait's a great way to catch them. So anyway, guys, just out here hanging around Table Rock Lake today. Wanted to do a little dock video. Hope it helped you guys out, and we'll talk later.